Hello and welcome! Tonight on the show, we have a little melee over Maille mustard, old style, hailing from Paris, France, circa 1774. Can you believe it? We're really excited to have you here tonight. Thank you for listening. Of course, this is Soft Spoken.
And we're back. We are Soft Spoken. We are the podcast detailing your favorite dips, sauces, and condiments. And tonight, we'll be visiting Paris, mon ami. I'll be your host. My name is Adam, and I'm joined here this week by my co-host, Tori.
Oui. Yes. Headed to Paris. It's beautiful this time of year. And to my right, as always, the former child actor, E.
Not the voluntary child actor, though. Just had a creepy uncle. Okay,
little Miss Sunshine, like Little Miss Sunshine reference there or something.
Oh, is it? Okay, I never saw it.
It's creepy.
Pretty okay. All right, we'll have to give it a watch. Maybe we can do a group watching now that we've...
No. Actually, I mean, it's supposed to be a comedy.
I thought it was like a comedy, yeah.
It's supposed to be a comedy.
My mom watched it. I think she recommended it to me. It's like a dark comedy or something, right?
Yeah, a little dark, a little off. It's way offbeat. Not my kind of movie.
Really?
That's for sure. No, yeah.
I'm going to watch it.
Ooh.
What was that?
That was Alexa.
She's calling the FBI as we speak.
Probably. That's why you can't say this shit in my place, Adam.
Well, that's why you don't have fucking listening devices planted throughout your house. For listeners who don't know.
I seen a funny video on the internet where this guy's Alexa kept farting.
What?
I saw that. Yeah, he said, he was like, fart for me, Alexa.
No, he was hollering at it because he didn't want it to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
I saw a totally different video.
Yeah, no, I guess him and this Alexa were arguing, we're carrying on, and he said, "No, don't fart. I'm done. I'm tired of this." And then it goes silent for a second or two, and then the Alexa lets one.
That's awesome. She's definitely listening to us now. We've said her name enough times.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
the little light's going crazy. Well, she turned off the wave frequencies or whatever to our voice. We've been.
Well, yeah, for the listeners that don't, I don't know if we brought this up before, but for the listeners that don't know, Eric has a bit of a smart home thing going on where he's
Barely.
got how many Alexas do you have in your house?
There's 3.
That's it? Oh, I thought you had more than that. We may mention before that you don't keep your microwave plugged in because you want to conserve from vampiric draw. And
that is correct.
I tried to turn it on the other day to microwave something and for the podcast, and you have it hooked up to your Alexa, so you have to ask Alexa to turn the power on to the microwave before you can even begin to input it. And it's tuned only to your voice, so functionally guests may not use the microwave in your house.
It is off limits.
On
That's
lockdown.
the way I like it.
Yeah.
Vampiric draw.
First time I've used it in a full week because I wasn't in Pittsburgh. It's nice to be back though. I was out of town.
That's right.
So
You got to mooch off someone else's electricity bill.
Sure did. Electricity, heat. Oh my god! I actually passed out in his basement where it was super cold. He turned on a heater for me. I could only imagine the heating bill in the morning for running a space heater all night long.
Well, why did you pass out down there?
I was dead exhausted.
Oh,
lots and lots of board games.
Nice.
That's good. You got to play some. You got some board games in there with your best bro.
I did. My bro and my niece and nephew and his wife. We all. And then actually, they invited friends over. It was quite a party for all weekend long, and
we talked about
their early week.
We talked about your sister on the podcast last week, right, or 2 weeks ago,
something like that.
Now we're talking about your brother on this page. This is quickly becoming, the Eric's Family Podcast.
Ease Family Tree.
There we go. There's a certain ring to it. Yeah. I like it.
Well, I guess that's so. That was what you did this past week. You had anything else about that you want to share with us, Eric?
If we have any board game listeners out there, I'd be intrigued to hear what your thoughts are on our games playthrough that we did. We hit up some classics like X-Men Under Siege. We also played Crokinole and Spire's End, Castles of Burgundy, Island Siege, House of Danger, Jaws of the Lion, Lords of Waterdeep, and Splendor. So yeah, we got in lots of gaming. It was very exciting.
And how many of those were Kickstarters?
I recognize maybe 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, would the list be shorter if we asked how many were not Kickstarters?
I think only one. Only Island Siege. Oh, no, and Spire's End were Kickstarters, so 2.
What is the first one? The X-Men thing or something like that?
Yeah, X-Men.
X-Men Under Siege. That's from 1994. That's one of my original board games that has made it from my parents' house to my own abode.
Was that one of the ones?
Palace.
Was that one of the ones that you played with your brother, like that other weird ass game you showed us?
Oh, with the robot that talks to you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, for the listeners,
Omega Virus.
Omega Strain.
Omega Virus.
Okay.
It's still
Omega Virus.
It actually is a kind of a collectible one. I could probably turn around and sell that one for $100 on eBay right now.
That shit was so wacky.
Yeah,
we played that. I don't know.
We played it only once. I think
probably
you should give it
2
another
years ago
try.
at this point, but we played it with our other friend Adam and you and me, Eric, and then we took it over and I think played it at Tori's house with the full group there because that was how Tori's wife discovered it.
Okay, that's true.
And then her and I were going back and forth with some of the game makes. What's the gist of the game, I guess, Eric? Do you want to give us a quick rundown? I only know the sound effects, so.
Sure. So you're playing as astronauts on an International Space Station in the future.
Kind of like retro Among Us, I guess, if you want to look at it that way.
I was looking at more as like an Alien or maybe a.
Right.
Like an Alien.
What was that?
Movie.
That Kubrick one that was out in space.
Exactly.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, essentially that's exactly what's happened. It's an artificial intelligent virus has taken over the International Space Station and it's going to destroy Earth.
And they have to implant you with microchips to save you.
So you have to go around and collect different devices on the board game so you can then defeat the boss in all these coded rooms. And everybody chooses a code at the beginning of the game and it randomly places your chosen code at, like, it says the code at the end of every room you explore. So it has an electronic talking center console, and then you have to travel back to the room while you're listening for your code to be able to defeat the virus.
And this was supposed to be like a game that was made to be playable by children, correct?
Absolutely.
And it was, from what I would say that's the technical definition of it. What it more is basically attempting to move to various rooms amidst chaos as various sections of the board game are collapsing and you're being forced into other areas indiscriminately. And in the midst of this all going on, all this chaos, you have a 1990s robotic voice screaming from the center of the board going, help me, but... And it's not very, yes, I would say chaos is essentially, it's a good game for kids because kids don't typically care about playing games by the rules, and the game is impossible to play by any sort of rules.
Holy moly, yeah.
Help me.
Very easy game to beat, and we played it a lot growing up.
What was the other thing?
It was
like,
a good game.
Yellow player has the crystal. What was the thing or whatever? It says like a variety of catchphrases.
There's like, it'll announce when certain players have like all the required decoder and new
I wonder if we
Neutron
can,
or something like that.
I wonder if we can find a link to this on YouTube that we can put in the show notes so you guys can see what we're talking about.
Or maybe a soundboard.
Yes. A soundboard would be really good. Maybe we can make a soundboard. No, that's too much effort. We'll just link to the YouTube video. I'm sure there's got to be some commercial from that back in the day. I'm sure.
The bad guy would chime in too, right? The AI would
come in and call you
and
human
he would taunt
scum.
You. Yeah,
oh, that's right. The AI was the bad guy, right?
Yes.
Okay. But it would also, that shit was just whack as hell. I mean,
Space station would shoot at you. You had to put up barriers, like, shields. And sometimes you get blown up.
I played it twice, and I had neither time did I have any idea what was actually going on. You just basically told us where to move, which is your favorite way to play board games. For the listeners that aren't, the way that Eric likes to do it, he says, now your character has to move over here, and he has to do this thing. He basically just is happy to play the game for you. If you ever give him the opportunity.
Micromanage that bad. Maybe when I first started, I've been
you're
working
trying
on
to
that.
help. You're explaining like our options, but you're also telling us what the best thing to do is. So then you basically just end up saying, do this on your turn. And I think it comes from you like to get a lot of board games and you like to kind of test them out first yourself. So you're kind of used to playing multiple characters. And I think that you just kind of forget that the rest of us here have like a consciousness inside of us that allows us to determine these things on our own.
You played Island Siege with me a couple weeks ago.
Which one was Island Siege again?
That's the one where you're in the Caribbean and you got those ships and you're trying to build forts and protect.
Oh yeah, that wasn't bad. And I beat you, I think, right?
You beat me.
Yeah, which I don't I don't really know how that happened because that was a total one-off. I barely understood the concept. Several beers deep at that point, so
it was a fun time though. It was good. That's actually one of the board games I took to Indiana and with my brother to check out, and he liked it. he liked it a lot. We played it quite a few times, but he did think it was a little problematic with 4 players.
Oh, 4 players. Yeah, because we played it with just the 2 of us, and
2 works much better.
I remember you said you thought there were some problems with the rules too, which is always a frequent criticism of mine of the Kickstarter games, is I feel like after playing it once, I could come up with some rule alterations which would make it a better game.
There was a rule that I was doing incorrectly. When you actually get to place your meeples out on every fort you have built, not just one meeple at a time.
Okay.
That's a big rule correction.
Fascinating.
I can imagine that changing the game pretty dramatically.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, sometimes, as long as we're all playing by the same rules, there's no real distinct advantage, one way or the other, I guess.
But speed it up, I would imagine.
Yeah, it does speed it up, yeah. Well, it's not too bad. You only have 9 meeples to get out, so.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, you had a little bit of a break from your average week there. You did not once tell us how busy your work week was.
That's right.
This is the first episode when that has happened. I've been keeping track. It's 25 episodes now, or something like
25.
that.
25. Can you believe it?
I think it might be 24. I might have misspoken, but
it's still...
we're pretty damn close there. It might be 25. You listeners will know if it's 25 or not. It'll say in the fucking title. We don't know.
It says right on Spotify there.
But all that being said, Tori, how was your week this week?
No, it was terrific. We finished off the Olive Tap chocolate sauce. I have the empty jar.
God bless.
Yeah, so it was very good. I had it on vanilla ice cream after dinner these last couple of evenings.
That sounds excellent.
And it was a very, very nice treat. Yeah, it was really good. I put a little bit of coffee in the jar after, because there's that around the edge there.
Swish around.
And I was really looking forward to it. Coffee, of course, was piping hot.
Okay.
And I was unimpressed. I was expecting more, like more
a mocha type
like
thing.
A gourmet type feel, maybe like a hot chocolate with raspberry type idea. I mean, I don't know. I had the coffee, had the chocolate. It didn't pan out as well as I expected it to.
Do you think it was simply just not enough of it in there, or you scraped it too clean?
Possibly. I mean, the jar was pretty thin. Thin, small. I don't know. I don't know what I was hoping for. Yeah, a little weak on the raspberry side. I was hoping for more of a punch there, but coffee's a tough flavor to combat against.
I was lucky enough to get to try some Death Wish coffee, which I've heard about a couple of years ago by one of my coworkers.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's probably like 4 years ago from my coworker. Never had the opportunity to try it, but my brother bought some and made some delicious Death Wish coffee, which was amazingly good.
And what's the deal with this? It's supposed to have like 10,000 milligrams of caffeine in every cup or something?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like twice as strong as regular coffee, like amount of caffeine. But it's also supposed to be bold and chocolatey and notes of, I think, cherry in it too. So it was very, very good, very smooth cup of coffee.
Now, you made this traditionally, I assume? I've been really getting into like the cold brew stuff lately. That's what I'm asking.
No, yeah, this was traditional hot, percolated, or through a filter.
Yeah, I've been doing the Pete's coffee, if you guys are familiar with that. Which is pretty good. Yeah, for being, I think reasonably priced, and I've been doing a cold brew on that with I got one of those big, I have a few, I like the can, so I have some of those big half-gallon mason jars, and I've been putting in a little mesh. I bought a stainless steel mesh filter. You just fill that up and put the water in and let it sit for a night or two, and bada bang, bada bang. You got yourself some tasty-ass cold brew.
Cold brew, huh?
It's pretty good, and there's, like I said, no acidity. And I haven't tried this yet, but I've actually been really curious how it would taste if you took the cold brew and then heated it up to coffee temperature, because, like I said, you're not brewing, so you're not getting any of that acidity. It's exceedingly smooth. It's almost like creamy. It's really good.
Wow. It is really good. I should go back to drinking. A year ago, I was drinking a lot more cold brew. I've just gotten out of the habit of having it all ground up and chilled, but
I'm just too lazy to make coffee every morning, so this is a way for me to have it pre-made in the refrigerator for a little week, and then I can just get up, slam some of that, be off on my merry way to work.
So you drink it cold, I guess, then?
Yes.
Yes, I drink it cold straight out the bottle.
Oh, wow.
I just pour it in a cup, and actually I like to let it acclimate closer to room temperature, so usually I'll pour it first thing I wake up, let it sit in the cup, and then warm up a few degrees so it's more like chilled when I'm drinking it. That's how I like it, personally. Yeah, because I don't like it freezing cold because you don't get as much of the flavor and it kind of hurts my teeth. But I let it warm up for about half hour while I play around on the old computer in the morning, and then I chug it down and I'm headed off to work.
Gotta have hot coffee. Got to.
That's what does it for you. It perks you up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't like the hot thing to me. Again, I like to let if I get hot coffee, I got to let it sit for 20, 25 minutes and cool down before I drink it. So, and then again, I just drink it all in one gulp. I'm not really drinking it for flavor. I like coffee drinks for flavor, but for me personally, coffee on its own is just a delivery mechanism for caffeine.
Wow.
Coffee drinks, you mean like a frappe or something?
Yeah, if you got
like
some of that Starbucks bullshit or something like that, like I like all that stuff. I'll go out and sit at a Starbucks and have a drink and play some
it's all
cards
whipped
at one of
cream
their...
and caramel sauce,
right?
Well,
who doesn't like it?
I usually get one of the ones that's not quite as fancy as that. Like I get like a mocha or something like that, which is still sugary, but no whipped cream. I'm not a big fan of whipped cream on that type of thing, on drinks in general.
Yeah, I have to agree. But I know your cats like whipped cream.
Oh, very much so. Your cat's Tori will suck a whipped cream straight from the bottle and they go bananas for it. The little orange one was doing exactly that. I had whipped cream with the aforementioned ice cream. And the little one gets a little nibble of everything.
Yep, of course he does.
So he got some whipped cream and he loved it and he took it right out of the bottle like a good boy.
You wonder why he's so fucking crazy.
He is crazy.
Scrambling around your house.
Goodness, is he crazy. But he's my little work buddy. He hangs out on the desk while I'm working, of course, from home.
Yep.
And him and I just, does his thing.
He is a cutie.
Yeah.
I forgot you're working from home.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that like a full-time, like every day?
5 days a week until June 1, tentatively.
You were going back in for a little while, and now you're going, okay, you were
doing 2 days in and then 3 days back home. And then once, I guess, what would that have been, last summer, the fellow that I work with came down with, the virus and
the Rona.
And that's when we said, okay. And they've been pushing it back pretty consistently, so I'm not going to hold my breath for June 1. Huh. But it's a 5-day week operation from home.
Cool.
As per right now. Not a bad gig.
Cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
I wear pajamas every day.
Well, since we're all still here and hopefully the last dregs of the lockdown, we've had to be a little bit more creative with some of our sauces lately. We've been going on a little bit of some virtual tours. We did the Jamaica one. We did one for some of the Oriental sauces. And now we're going to take a little trip to Europe and we're going to try ourselves some mustard from, like I mentioned earlier, Paris. I'm going to do my bad French accent like I did my bad Jamaican accent. And people can make fun of me. But with that being said, which one of you gentlemen would like to try to pronounce the name of this sauce? I'm going to give it to Eric because it'll be more entertaining for him to do it.
I was just going to say Maille. Maille?
I don't think it's Maille.
Why don't you try it? Maille. Give us some
old style mustard.
There you go. That's a little better. You sound like the kid. You sound like one of the kids in like the 10th grade class who has to read the Three Musketeers, and you're trying, but
but not really.
Everyone's laughing at you behind your back.
Yeah, really. Oh, it's funny actually. You kept saying it's from Paris, and I did not know where you were getting that information
Paris
from.
Right on it.
You didn't see his striped shirt and his beret and a cigarette hanging out of his mouth?
Yeah,
my
the label was rolled over. I just now smoothed out with my thumb, and I'm like, oh, look at that. It does say Paris right on the label. Up. Well, you're notorious for making shit up, so.
Fucking, no, I didn't know what to say. I'm going to do something bad, do you?
Wow.
Why don't you spell it for the listeners, too, so we have that.
Yes, this is Maille.
Don't chime in and tell us how it's supposed to be pronounced. I don't fucking care.
And it's a neat little glass jar of old-style mustard. It says non-MOG project verified.
Huh.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah,
is this an oldies number?
No, this came from... that's a good question. Where did I got this quite a while ago.
That's funny.
Product of?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that earlier, too. Yeah. It's actually the product of Canada, right?
Yeah. I don't think French Canadian.
French Canadian, exactly.
But it does say Paris on the front, which is, distinctly not in Canada, I don't believe.
So maybe they make it in Paris and they import it to Canada?
I don't know.
There's a neat little coat of arms on the lid there.
It is kind of a neat little design. Yeah, here's the lid for you. Yeah, so this is a whole grain mustard, which is the first kind of thing we've really done like this. But we'll let Tori give a little description on the actual container we're looking at it in, and we'll dive into kind of the more interesting contents after that.
Yeah, sure thing. So we have a wide mouth glass jar.
How many centimeters would you say that mouth is?
Well, how many? I don't know. I don't do centimeters, dude. I do imperial.
5 conversions.
Maybe 2.5 inches wide mouth.
All right.
2 inches, maybe.
Yeah,
give or take.
We call that, 6 centimeters for our metric listeners?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, sorry, guys. But yeah, so it has a black label. It has a very, very fancy seal, in which the sticker not only goes up over the label so you know when the bottle's been opened already. So that's very, very fancy. I mentioned before, there's a neat little coat of arms. It is so tiny, I'll have a tough time seeing it. But it's there, and it's cool, and it says, Paris Despois, I guess. I mean, established, maybe, loose translation.
Sure.
Context clues go a long way here. But yeah, so that happened in 1747. Old style mustard, yeah, the label's black and gold. And
like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, like Pittsburgh, of course. Yeah. Sister city, Paris and Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's
Pittsburgh's
true.
black and yellow. I think you're insulting the Pittsburgh sports teams there.
I don't care
Whatever.
if I am.
Well, no, because that's not
They
true.
do like to say black and gold. It doesn't look like gold at all.
Well, the Penguins are like gold, isn't it? Isn't that called Penguins Gold or something like that? Or is that Penguin Yellow? It's more of a mustardy color, though. Whatever. Fuck you guys.
We're not sports fans here, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I particularly am not, but...
But yeah, so yeah, that's about the bottle in a nutshell. It's a rather small bottle. What is it here? Clanging around is the thing enough. 7 ounces. 7 1/3 ounces.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually, I guess that's bigger than I would have thought. It is a pretty small, I would say, baby food sized jar, I guess.
Maybe a bit bigger than your typical baby food jar.
But yeah, black kind of minimalist label. And I do kind of like that they had that, like you said, that seal kind of going from the front to the top. That was kind of a cool little touch. And as far as the sauce, I guess, it is a sauce, right? We would call it. It's a little bit interesting because the appearance on the inside is, if you've never seen so you guys are probably familiar with, mustards come in a variety of grains, and it's basically how finely they grind the mustard seeds. And this one, I would just say, is, as opposed to more of a typical mustard, which is pretty finely ground, this one is basically unground, I guess. It looks kind of like, and I described it earlier as wet birdseed.
Definitely.
It looks kind of like millet, if you're familiar with that, with maybe some of the kernels in there almost have like an almost popped popcorn kind of appearance, where they're a little bit yellow and they're kind of like some fluff coming out of them. But by and large, it is pretty much right on par with just looking like wet birdseed. Is that what you would say, Eric?
Yeah, absolutely. It's that perfectly even, roundness and that perfect like size. That mustard seed, naturally has that like almost like a poppy seed, like a distinct, perfect symmetrical and evenness to it. So it's kind of a neat. Actually, I think it looks like.
I think it looks good. It looks to me. It looks just like, basically, because the mustard seeds are essentially the same color as like a popcorn kernel, just much smaller. And like I said, with some of the other seeds being kind of popped open, it does have very much an appearance of just a miniaturized version of loosely popped popcorn.
Yeah,
that's how I would describe it.
It's kind of a stretch.
It looks like there's 2 different types of seeds in here, with the lightly popped popcorn that you're mentioning to be an entirely different seed.
Oh, really?
And it appears to be cracked. Whereas the brownish kernel-looking seed seems to be intact.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm taking a closer look, and I think you're correct. Yeah, some of the seeds are distinctly like a yellow color, actually. Some of them are cracked, but I would say, like 90% of them are those brown, tan, popcorn kernel-looking motherfuckers in there.
Indeed. Yeah. I thought it had a consistency similar to that of fish roe.
Yeah.
At a sushi bar.
And that's another thing, too. You really can't pour this. Hence, I think the wide mouth of the jar makes it easier to get a spoon in there, which is what we elected to do.
Good point.
Because you really can't pour it at all. It's not even like some traditional mustards in a jar. You could kind of get on a spoon and then kind of drizzle onto something that you wanted. This, you would actually have to scoop in place. It's not really, that's why I say I almost struggle to call it a sauce at all, but it's not really a dip. Maybe a condiment, I guess.
I would venture to disagree with you. I think when you dipped that spoon into the jar, I was surprised at how liquidy it does move actually pretty
well. It moves
well.
as a unit, by the way.
It does kind of move as a unit.
So if you took that out of a glass jar, put that into a plastic squeeze bottle, I guarantee you that would just squeeze,
you'd have to have a wider mouth, I think. I mean, if you had a decent wide mouth, I think you could squirt it. I think you'd have a hard time getting it to the top of the bottle, though. You'd have to give it a little shake.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure I just know for a fact, I'm pretty sure. I'll take a hard stance that like Heinz or somebody has made a old style mustard like this in a squeeze bottle.
Really?
And it.
You think Heinz has made something like this in the modern market?
Yeah, pretty sure I've seen it.
I don't know. This seems a little exotic for the modern American palate. I don't see Heinz making something like this. Maybe originally, but probably not anymore. I think this is something that people would see in stores and be a little scared away from. And I was a little bit initially concerned because, and I guess we can kind of dive right into our tasting notes a little bit here because that's kind of what we're leading to. Because, and I know you were concerned initially, Tori, because looking at it and kind of looking at that bird seed popcorn kernel looking appearance, when I initially tasted it, I thought it was going to be hard and crunchy. Like I didn't think it was going to be chewable even really. I thought it was going to be kind of difficult to eat. I don't know if you guys kind of felt the same.
Yeah.
A little bit. I've certainly had some stone ground or very unground
loosely
mustard,
ground, right.
In the past, and it's been actually something that can like dry out, and it can be a little bit
toothy.
Toothy.
Yeah, toothy is a good way to describe it. Yeah. Not only was I concerned about it, but it made good on my concern, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
a lot of concerning.
Right, I know there's a lot of concerns going on here, but
Tori was deeply concerned.
Times two to the second power. But yes, I mean it came to fruition for me.
I know, Tori, you have voiced before your distinct displeasure in having especially small seed-like items stuck in your teeth.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Without getting too gross on you, I got an appliance in my mouth here that is just bags for poppy seeds, mustard seeds, popcorn kernels, rice grains. It drives me bonkers. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you've said that before, specifically about like a poppy seed, especially on like a bagel or something like that we had mentioned, and that is something that I distinctly dislike that feeling as well. And I'll actually carry. I end up stealing a lot of your flossers if we're over at your house, Tori, just to kind of dig them little suckers out of there. But no, I don't like that feeling of having anything stuck in my teeth at all at any time. I find that very unsettling, and I almost can't relax until I get that shit out. But that being said, for me with this, I thought this performed better than expected from that front. So I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it was a lot softer on the. It wasn't toothy at all. I think the liquid that it's suspended in really has softened. Because mustard seed is, it's a seed. It is hard.
I would say this was like probably the consistency of maybe slightly undercooked rice. Definitely still, like, you can definitely mush it in your mouth, without it. It wasn't hard. Like, you didn't really feel them break in your mouth at all, right?
I think Tori's comment of the roe for fish roe. I mean, it gives a satisfying little pop, and that's pop. There's no resistance really per se.
Or like you'd mentioned, like almost like a very fine tapioca pudding or something, kind of along those lines.
Okay, yeah, that worked.
And I think it bears mentioning as well, a very off-putting consistency in the liquid that surrounds it. It's very, I would say, slimy would be a good way to put it. Very much like mucusy almost,
Yeah, when you make that comparison, don't compare it to mucus. That's bad.
Have you guys, when you were kids, or I guess as young adults or whatever, did you guys ever have those chia pets?
Yeah.
You familiar with those?
I'm familiar with it.
You never had a chia pet, Eric?
No.
Okay, your parents didn't love you. We've said that before. But no, the idea with those is that you basically get these chia seeds, then you soak them in water, and then you put them in this, on a shape of whatever, an animal or a Bob Ross head or something like that.
Well, I'm very familiar with them.
Yeah, I'm describing them to listeners, you fuck. You're not the only person in the world.
They're like terracotta, ceramic, right?
Yeah, you put them onto a terracotta object that's shaped like something else. If I'm allowed to continue describing it, Eric, if that's okay with you.
Be my guest.
And there's usually a hole in the top of the object, and you fill it with water, and it kind of leaches out through there, and it's like it's supposed to be like an easy to care for little plant pet thing for kids, entertainment, a little science project. But what I'm getting at is that the chia seeds, after you soak them in water, they develop a distinct, almost tadpole-like slime on their own, and that's how they adhere to the terracotta. And this distinctly reminds me of that.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, I seen it separate out too before you mentioned it, and I have in my notes that settles out not nice. I wouldn't quite go as far as mucus. That's sort of like E was saying. That's sort of gross when you think about it. I was thinking like a honey, but it had had the color of honey, but the consistent, like a thinner.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, exactly. To me, honey is like, like that, got that thick syrupiness to it. And this is, to me, is more of the slicky sliminess to it. Like it's not really sticking stuff together. Like the objects are loosely sliding past each other, like they've been.
If you think about what honey really is, you're not doing a much difference than mucus.
Yeah, bee mucus.
It's bee mucus.
Bees are cool.
They chew it until they chew the nectar until it turns into that thick goop. But yeah, no, it is suspended in something like that, but you really can't see it. It's more just something you detect when you taste it. But honestly, all that being said, I'll jump right into this. My initial notes, I took a good whiff of it, as Tori has trained me to do through his tutelage. I've started to do that. And I initially got a pretty good whiff of vinegar, a strong whiff of vinegar, and I was still pretty concerned about this. But on my initial tasting, I was really delighted. And I got a lot of notes of, obviously, mustard, but I think primarily a lot of vinegar, which I think is what it's soaked in. And I actually got I definitely got a lot of salt. There's definitely a fair amount of salt in this. And I got a little bit of actually a smokiness, I thought. Also, obviously, the vinegar, like I mentioned, was pretty primarily prevalent. But on it took me maybe 2 or 3 tastings, but I detected something else with an acidity there to it, along with that vinegar, and I was thinking wine. And you give a little bit of a spoiler here, but we did discover that was one of the ingredients was white wine as well. So that is definitely present as well. What'd you think about it taste-wise there, Eric?
The taste was definitely mustard and vinegar. That's what came through. It's what it came through on the smell. I think the mouth feel. We were talking about mouth sounds.
Mouth dreams.
Mouth dreams. Oh, that's right. Mouth dreams. I like that crunch and that pop that you get from chewing on those mustard seeds. But
yeah,
I thought it was good. I particularly would recommend if you're gonna try this mustard. Don't even bother using a knife. Go ahead and just use a spoon and then use the back of the spoon to spread it, kind of just like the way you would like jelly.
Well, you had mentioned before that you were almost the opposite of Tori in that you are a seed eater from way back. You said, we've said now several episodes in a row, you can make a strawberry last 10 minutes because you love chewing on those seeds.
So, yeah, I have I have very tight teeth. So there's not much stuff to get stuck between them. So yeah, and I
did hear someone walk up to you the other day and say, "Tight teeth, bro." And he was your orthodontist, son.
Yeah, I did have an orthodontist.
He was on a skateboard,
I didn't always have
which
tight
I thought
teeth.
was strange. But he had his Walkman on him.
But yeah, the flavors were really good.
Dr. Sucky?
Wow.
That was the guy's name, right?
Oh, yeah, my dentist. The dentist. Yeah, it's Dr. Sakai.
Sakai. Skateboard Sakai is what they call him in medical school. If Dennis had to go to medical school, that's what
now he's going to listen to this episode and think, wow.
He is our frequent listener of ours, yeah. That's how he gets through his days.
Oh, my.
Keeps his already waning sanity together. But anyways,
but your comment about the white wine vinegar or just white wine and vinegar, right? I mean, when you said it made sense. I didn't necessarily really pick it up on its own. I didn't get any smokiness or any real heat. Even sometimes these mustard seeds can be spicy. Right. This is definitely not one of those. The white wine. Yeah. In it is noticeable, and then the fact that this can be spicy, but this one particular one is not. It's actually a very mild flavored, I would say. The mustard isn't even a very strong or pungent mustard. Because mustard itself, the flavor, I think we also discussed on a previous episode how I didn't care for it as a child. I thought it was too pungent, too strong of a flavor.
Right.
Now obviously my taste buds have changed. I enjoy mustard now. But to me this seems very mild, not even particularly strong in the mustard category.
I think you touched on a key point there, and I've heard people say things like mustard are very similar, and this kind of harkens back to your earlier comment at the beginning of the show, is that mustard is a lot like sex. And if you're forced to have it as a kid, you probably won't enjoy it as an adult.
Oh, man. Wow. Probably weird-ass jokes.
Jesus.
I like that one. I thought that was a good one.
Wow.
We're going to scare off some listeners with that kind of talk.
Fuck them. If they don't like it, we can afford to lose them then. We're having fun over here. We're losing Tori, though. That's going to be a problem.
Taking some weird tangents tonight, guys.
Anyways.
So, Tori, how did you like or not like this mustard?
I like mustard overall. I didn't really care for this too much. I thought it was astringent. Probably more so than anything else. Yeah, just too astringent. The texture didn't. I'm not wild about the texture. You know, that type of thing doesn't do it for me. I'd much rather take a finely ground mustard over anything like that. Yeah, the salt didn't bother me. I know you mentioned it. It was certainly salty, but not to a level where it was offensive. What I took most offensive was the astringency. I can understand why it would just turn off people simply by the look of it all. I mean, I can definitely understand that if you are a yellow French's mustard regular, you see something like this, probably not going to be your first pick if you decide to get adventurous, and that's reasonable, totally okay. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite. It's from 1774, so what? It's 250 some odd years old if it stayed back here.
Wow.
And it's interesting that, like you say, how big French's, a fan of French's mustard. At that point, you don't even know what mustard is. You're like, oh, it's just this yellow sauce. Like, this is the original mustard.
You're so far removed from the plant itself.
Right.
I think in its, pretty close to its purest form.
Yeah.
And I think this is actually, sometimes you'll get pickles and they'll have that mustard seed in the pickle jar. And I think this is essentially, basically just a condensed version of that.
Yeah,
if you like something like that.
Distilled it down, sure.
Like I said, mostly what I'm getting is the vinegar, but it's a milder vinegar. To me, this is something that we kind of joked about this, but I legitimately think you could pretty much eat this by the spoonful.
Honestly, I think that's how we pretty much end up trying it.
Yeah, I think
really.
It's mild enough that you could do. We started to try this kind of on chicken nuggets. I took my initial little dip just on a little toothpick. I got a little dollop of it and tried it, and I actually thought it was just better on its own than trying it. I mean, the chicken nuggets did it no favors. We had discussed this, but I think it would have been really well served on like a nice sausage, or even on like a charcuterie board or something like that, where you had some cold cuts and some cheese and crackers, and you just put a little dollop on there, and I think that would be really delightful. I think you would kind of mention the same thing, Eric.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up with like eating cheese and cracker boards. It was one of my dad's favorite things to do, and we always had all kinds of different sampling of different levels of stone ground or non-ground mustard. I mean, this is something like I said, I've had versions of this, and then maybe not this exact brand, but this isn't anything new to me. I wasn't really shocked when you brought it to the table. So
cheese and crackers was your dad's favorite things?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That threw me for a little bit of a loop. I wasn't expecting to hear that. Cheese and crackers and stone ground mustards. Huh.
Yeah, cheese and crackers and and like salamis, hard meats, I guess we would call that, and then and Doritos. My dad was a real healthy bachelor.
Wow.
It's amazing that he just worked out so much when he was a young adult that even though his eating habits were terrible, he was actually quite fit when he was in his early 20s.
You're kind of the opposite. You're a guy who likes to eat moderately healthy. Like whenever we have a group dinner, you'll always bring the salad.
Right. And I'm not fit at all.
You've never worked out before in your life.
That's not true. I worked out in high school, but it didn't really work for me. That's
right. You wrestled in high school, didn't you?
Yeah, I wrestled and I ran cross country. So I worked out a lot in high school, but it didn't stick. I need to do something, though, because my clothes aren't fitting again. So,
Oh, man.
A little joke that came to me, this may be the only mustard on the market that provides any fiber. If you're not regular, you could maybe eat some of this mustard, and I think that would do you a wonderful job.
Pass right through you.
Yeah, it would be like a natural vinegary Metamucil.
Especially if you're eating it by the spoonful.
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh yeah. I mean, you imagine the level of fiber you're getting out of that. I'm talking like an old man.
I would have to think so. Yeah, I mean, certainly I don't think you could digest that stuff.
Fibery.
Yeah, that would loosen you right up.
You and Jamie Lee Curtis, you're both you're good and regular.
Be loose as a goose.
Activia's version of mustard, huh?
I do think that the amount of vinegar in this, I think vinegar is supposed to be one of those things that helps you kind of maintain like a healthy weight. That could be this could be a health food,
They say that. The mustard is very healthy, I think, the seed and everything.
Oh, I definitely think so. I'd be curious to see. We didn't get normally we don't go into the nutrition facts of the sauce. I wonder if there's a lot of vitamins and minerals in this.
It's nothing to write home about.
No?
I was looking for the fiber.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So, well, with that, since we're kind of on the topic, Eric, do you want to do us the honor, as usual, of going through and giving us a little blow by blow on the ingredients there?
Oh, yeah. I've forgotten what we were leading up to. I think I asked for my taste rating on it. There's not a whole lot here to really talk about, honestly.
We like that.
We do like that. Everything seems quite pronounceable. We've got water, mustard seeds, distilled vinegar, salt, white wine, sugar, lactic acid, and natural flavor.
And that was another thing I meant to touch on. I think maybe I skipped over that, but there is a little bit of a sweetness to this, which I think is kind of like, you ever have simple syrup and it starts to kind of evaporate and get that syrupy texture? I think that was where part of this sliminess is coming from.
Yeah, I know I think you had said it. I don't know if you said it on camera or on the mic or not, but I did not get any sweetness. What about you, Tori?
Really?
Did you get any sweetness?
A hair.
I got a pinch. Yeah, it
now that
wasn't
you mention
overwhelming.
it was prevalent, but
I'd forgotten that until now. So, I mean, it clearly wasn't the most forefront thing, but it was a little bit of sweetness.
So you think that's coming from the sugar?
I think so. I don't know what else would be coming from. It's not coming from, maybe, very slightly from the white wine, depending on what type they used. But I have to imagine that's more from the sugar.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like it.
Huh.
Yeah, Tori's
And
Tori went in for another dip there just now.
Yeah.
You normally are a pretty big fan of mustard, right, Tori?
Overall, generally,
You have a lot of mustards, I think, generally.
Yeah.
Fancier mustards, too, not even just the Frenchies, right? Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay. Yeah, so that's interesting. Now, I don't think, to be perfectly fair, I don't think the mustard taste is the forefront, like the foremost taste in this sauce. It's definitely, like we'd say, vinegar and kind of those accompanying flavors, along with, the texture of the mustard seed, and the mustard seeds themselves are kind of impregnated with that flavor, but it's not, I think you have to kind of grind it to really release all that flavor, and I think that's kind of part of what is missing there. So it's different, and it's definitely worth picking up if you have like a little tray, or even like a panini. I could see this being good on like something with some melted cheese in it, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could definitely.
I think this would be really good on just like little crostini little breads, little bread and a little bit of cheese on it, or a little bit of meat, and I think it'd be
even an Italian hoagie.
Sure.
You know what else I like to make, and I made this for you guys before, those little you get a roll of Hawaiian rolls, and you slice the whole 24-pack or whatever down the middle, and then you make the ham and the Swiss in there, and then you make the sauce that goes over top, and you bake the whole sheet of them. And typically you use more like a Dijon mustard in that, but I think you could throw something like this in there too. Typically you also put poppy seeds across the top, so you have a lot of those grains and stuff going on that Tori doesn't like, but I think this would be a nice addition to that.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that working. Yeah, I guess you stole the recipes from me there, Adam.
Oh well, we can always come around back with a little recipes for you. But I think we've spoon fed you a lot. Too many easy ideas. Maybe I'll have to come up with something. I like to give you a little bit of a struggle too. I don't want to make it too easy for you because it's more fun that way. But in the meantime, I guess let's go ahead and jump into our ratings. You want to lead us off there, Eric?
Sure, I'll be happy to. I am going to say that this was as enjoyable as ketchup. I think ketchup has a vinegary kind of base to it for sure. And of course, mustard and ketchup are hand in hand. People would say those are probably the most common ingredients or common condiments. So I'm going to go ahead and say I think the level of like mellowness to the tones and whatnot, that's not too abrasive. I didn't think it was too abrasive, personally. So I thought it was I think it's a very approachable condiment, and I think I'll give it a 6.
Wow. That's, you know what? I'm going to jump right on board here because I'm not going to have a whole lot of influence. I'm going to come in ready to a 6 too. That was what I thought, it's in that same ballpark to me. I think it's a fresh, interesting concept. It didn't blow my mind by any means, and I didn't, I thought it was well balanced. And a lot of nice, interesting, pleasant flavors that I like. I would definitely try it on some things. That being said, I don't know if it's really something I would feel the need to buy again outside of some real niche recipes or something like that.
Or you're just hankering for some
I don't
charcuterie.
Know. Maybe, I don't know. If it looks nice, that is one thing you could definitely say about it definitely puts on a nice, presentable face, so you could definitely throw it on a board or something like that and it would fit in really well. And it would go well and something like that, and I think that would be a hit at a party,
Yeah, absolutely.
Small servings especially. So yeah, I think I'm going to roll right in with a 6. I'm in line with you there, Eric, and we'll pass it over to Tori, who I think is going to take this for us.
Oh, well, I don't love it. I don't hate it. Ketchup would be a more pleasurable experience for me to eat over this. So probably by that virtue, I'll say a 4, I think is fair.
All right.
I mean, I know it's not the mustard's fault that if I eat anything of that particular texture, I don't want to say paying for it because it's not, detrimental or nothing,
right.
But it's still a pain in the ass. So, yeah, I mean, I understand it's not the mustard's fault, but too bad, so sad. 4.
That's where it rates then.
Yeah, that's where it stands.
Well, I think we had a really easy time rating it. Sometimes we struggle a little bit with where we're going to land, but I think, I think it falls into that category of like solid, not standout. Solid, but...
have to be honest, when you asked me, I was wavering a little bit. I wasn't quite sure, so I had to kind of talk it through, and I was like, yeah, that's where it belongs.
I was thinking 6 before I even asked you, because I was like, I don't like to bias there, but I think that, I think that's a pretty fair rating from all things considered for this. That being said, what I would love to do is, since you brought it up earlier, why don't we go ahead and jump right into recipes? You want to guess where I'm going with this, Eric? Do you want to take a stab at what I'm going to make you do? What do you think I'm going to do to you?
Oh, I'm sure I won't enjoy it. Well, go ahead. Let's just have it. Like a bad bandage just got ripped right off.
I'm just kind of curious if anyone comes up with a better idea than what I had, but no. We discussed on some potential applications for this earlier, and one of the things I had mentioned would be maybe like throwing it on a nice sausage or something. Now, Chicagoans aside, one of the things that most people will do, could think of a quintessential hot dog, sausage, whatever, is your classic mustard and ketchup. Now, what I'd like you to do is, bearing in mind the roots of this sauce and how this one is constructed, build us something that could be considered ketchup that would be similar to this in style and complementary to this. And what I mean of that essentially is you have a mustard seed here in kind of like this raw ingredient, but it's incorporated into something that is, mustard sauce. I want you to kind of do something like that with a ketchup.
With more of a tomato-based sauce. You want me to invent a tomato-based sauce that's not ketchup, that's similar to...
Something that would be an equal and equivalent ketchup that would complement this.
An early primitive version like this?
Yes, something more in that style, but ketchup, and then also, like I said, complementary to this if possible. So you could put them both on like a nice rustic sausage or something like that, or a hot dog, and have it fit well.
Okay. Well, that's actually not that too hard, really, I don't think. Let's see here. So if you take a tomato...
What kind of tomato? Romano tomato?
Right. Take a nice, like a beefsteak or whatever. Any tomato will do, really. You just got to cut it and then take out the center of it, right? So you have that real watery juice with those tomato seeds.
Okay.
So we're going to try and play up that whole seed thing here. We're going to add a little bit of wine in there.
Okay.
A little bit of, probably white wine, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of salt, maybe just a little bit of puree, a little bit of that tomato meat, or you could use tomato paste if you want to, just kind of cheat your way through it. Just to give it a little bit of thickness to it, a little bit of redness, but it also has still all those tomato seeds really condensed. So it'd be a kind of a labor-intensive sauce, but I bet you could create something that would look almost similar to this, but more like a red kind of
I see with all the tomato seeds. I kind of see where you're going.
Seeds, and you do have that slight crunch because those tomato seeds have like a little pop to them sometimes.
Yeah.
And all you need is just a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of sweetness to balance it out, and kind of have yourself like I guess at that, once you put those ingredients in there, well, I probably put, you're basically creating a salsa.
Yeah, almost.
A
couple suggestions there. One, I think if you were to do that with all the water content of that, I think you would have to incorporate some sort of thickening agent.
Yeah, that's why I said like a tomato paste.
Maybe a xanthan gum, possibly.
Or some xanthan gum if you want to use some new world ingredients instead of old world here.
And then I was thinking maybe, like you said, they had the wine. Maybe this one's got the white wine. Maybe incorporate like a red wine into that, and that could be a pretty interesting, combination.
It's very similar to actually like my salsa recipe. I use stewed tomatoes, red wine vinegar.
Now, would you be cooking this sauce, or just like a raw kind of pureed
if you cook it down, you could actually extract some of that water by cooking it for a long enough time. You could evaporate it off.
I would think with the freshness of this, I would think you would want to kind of, I would think you want to keep it without cooking it. That would be my inclination.
I would say probably not cooked as well.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, I sort of just ended up using my salsa recipe, but like I don't know, just a neat idea of trying to capture all those tomato seeds.
That's a pretty interesting concept. All right, I think that definitely fits the prompt. So the only other thing I was wondering is maybe just due to the raw acidity in this, maybe something interesting to do would be to try with like a green tomato or a tomatillo or something like that.
That'd be neat to do. And if you do it with green tomatoes or whatnot, I would say you definitely use like lemon and limes to give some zing to it, and pop that acidity. And obviously it doesn't need more acidity, but it would taste good.
And I think the tomatillos actually, have more of like the seed inside and less of the flesh. That might be something you could kind of throw in there, and that would work. Pretty close to an analog to this. That might be an interesting idea.
Yeah, actually, I think I have to agree with you. If you go to our local Mexican restaurant is Moe's, and they have their tomatillo sauce, and probably butchering that the way that's said, but
I think that's right, tomatillo,
and it's and it does have, actually, like you said, a lot of more of the seeds noticeable in their tomatillo sauce, and it's I like that.
I think, like I said, I think you nailed the prompt. I think that's a good. I think that's a pretty damn good answer, actually. I'm not even going to make fun of you. I can't really even take the piss out of you about it. You came up with that quickly, and it was competent. Yeah.
Well done.
It was an abstract question at first. I was trying to follow where you're going with it. But once I got it, I was like, oh, okay.
I do wonder if that would be good or not, though. Not that I'm saying you did a bad job. I'm just wondering how that would actually be on like a sausage or something, Maybe I don't know.
Be fine.
I think it's not, like you said, it's not that far removed from a ketchup almost once you add all that stuff in. So maybe not as much of the sugar, but still.
Right. Less homogenized. Obviously, it'd be more of a chunky nature. So,
like all of us. More of a chunky nature. That being okay, well, that was good. Yeah, I'll give you kudos for that.
So this is interesting. You brought up their website. It says a staff tip here. Perfect in sauces. So you can actually use this as a punch or an additional ingredient in another sauce you're making. Use it as a marinade or when added to chicken. Perfect in sauces, marinades, or when added to a chicken casserole.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that. What kind of a chicken casserole you would use this for? I mean, maybe like a chicken cordon bleu type thing or something?
That'd be good.
Yeah. I don't know. I
don't really know what a chicken casserole is.
Well, chicken Marsala certainly has some mustard in it, doesn't it?
Marsala is like a red wine.
Yeah, that's a wine, bro.
You're thinking of piccata, maybe?
Maybe the yellow.
Yeah, piccata is more of a yellow.
Sorry,
but that's like capers and butter and lemon juice. But I could see throwing this a little bit of that in there, especially with the capers, a little bit of bitterness from that. Another thing of note on here. You want to read that there for us, Tori?
Sure. They won the gold medal for best grainy mustard at the 2012 Worldwide Mustard Competition.
Yeah, so after seeing that, do you want to revise your rating at all there for us?
Wow, 12 years ago. Step your game up. It's been 9 years, dude. Get with it.
And before that, I mean, it's been around for over 100 years.
Yeah, the only one at one time over 250 years. Give me a break. They give it a strength of 3 out of 5. That's perfectly in line with you guys' ratings. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, they're saying strength, though. I mean, not necessarily flavor, but that is an interesting point to bring up. They do seem to have a variety of other sauces, I guess, on here, right? Mustards and stuff.
Yeah, they have some other condiments, it looks like. We've got ourselves a Dijon original.
I believe it's original.
Oh, yeah, my bad. And we got, what is that, mini corn?
I think they're little peppers. Give it your best stab at the pronunciation there.
Man, they're all sold out. You seeing that?
Cornichons? That sounds like I'm saying Cornish hen. I don't know what that is.
Cornichon sounds pretty good to me, man.
Cornichons classique.
They're little pickles. It says miniature gherkins on the front. Little tiny baby pickles. That's kind of cute. They look like the little, we mentioned before, the little steak and shake peppers that they used to have on the counters there. That's what they kind of look like.
And then we've also got our rich country Dijon mustard. I don't know what the difference is there. And then honey Dijon.
Yeah, different styles of Dijon. But okay. So that's that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'd be open to giving one of these other flavors a spin. Maybe something that wasn't quite like vinegar cereal over here in a jar.
Vinegar cereal. It is kind of like a grain, almost like a cereal, too. That's a good point.
It is grainy. I mean, heck, it won the best, grainy mustard award. I don't know. Like I said, you gotta be into that thing. It's got a niche market, I would say. Certainly their Dijon or their honey mustard, is going to be more of a hit, I'd say. more widely.
Right. We pulled up some of the recipes on the website. Do you want to read us off there some of the recipes they came up with there, Eric?
We've got
They have the first one, Daddy's Delight.
Yeah.
Your daddy's favorite.
The sweet and savory cheese board for 2. They've got all kinds of goodies there, it looks like. They've got, fruit and seeds and chocolate-covered pretzels and cheeses, and their mustard is predominantly in the middle of it all. Then we've got ourselves a beet and burrata. Citrus salad.
Know if that's how you say that or not.
I don't know either.
I gave it a shot, though, and I was confident. You take a hard stance, that's how you say it.
Citrus salad. Huh.
Yeah, they've got a pull-apart herby cheese Dijon bread, which kind of almost is back what I was talking about with those little sliders, the ham and cheese sliders. Just slap some ham and cheese in there, and that's what you got.
That sounds like the best recipe on this board.
Crispy banked ravioli with herbed Dijon dipping sauce sounds pretty good too.
Yeah, that sounds pretty damn good. It's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then we got ourselves the artichoke and white bean dip, which I'm not sure.
I don't know about that.
Creamy vegan, though, bro.
Creamy vegan in front of it. I'm not even sure what they're mixing into this. Is this particularly the old grain mustard that they're using?
It looks like it. Yeah, down at the bottom there.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm into that one as much.
Yeah, I'm not a huge artichoke fan, so that's gonna take a pass on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not my vegetable.
They're okay. They're
like
just kind of like I don't know. There's some vegetables that I think seem like that one seems like it artichoke seems like it should be part of something else that is edible, and it's part of the artichoke hearts. When you get too far away from the heart, it does get leafy,
a little stiff.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's less pleasant, and I think that
no question.
They tend to bulk out the package of artichoke with the less edible parts, so that kind of turns some people off, including me. Although I do like artichoke in general, just the hearts,
And I would certainly give this last one a try. A vegetarian Alfredo cheesy mustard mug bake.
Ooh, that would be fire.
See, that sounds whack to me. I don't know. I might give it. I would probably eat it if someone made it to me, but it sounds bizarre.
It's a little bizarre.
Is the mug freaking you out? Is that what's doing it for you?
Well, that's definitely part of it. The idea. I mean, what is the vegetarian part about? That's what's making me a little confused there.
They're using vegan cheese, not real cheese.
Well, no, it's vegetarian. Though. It's not vegan.
Yeah.
So, what did they just throw that out as a buzzword? Because what would you be what would you be putting in here that wouldn't be vegetarian to begin with? I'm just wanting to know what kind of substitution they made. That's what's whacking me out.
I bet you take that recipe and you add some meat to it and make it non-vegetarian. I bet you it tastes real
good. Fuck the system. I like it.
Maybe they're telling you there's no chicken or nothing in there.
Right.
I guess, but there was no chicken implied either if they would have just left the vegetarian out. So I'm going to stick with pandering, I guess. I'm taking a hard stance. They're fucking pandering.
For your 10th hard stance of this episode.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, you're really going in hard on that.
Well, I like to be, I'm a confident guy, and I like to take hard stances. That way people can tell me what an asshole I am when I'm wrong. So,
I don't know.
Does that happen to you often?
It happens to me very often. On that note, I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this episode here on this Maille, whatever the fucking Maille sauce is, old style mustard sauce. And Eric, do you have any closing thoughts for us?
Not really. Go out there and
Jesus Christ.
Not really.
We've achieved new lows. He's just going to say,
nope.
Not really.
I'm good.
Fuck it. Not even going to try anymore. He's not going to waffle something. Just, nope.
I'm going to pull something from the way earlier on in the episode. Go out there and find yourself a good board game or toss some cards with some friends.
Okay.
And, game. Life is short. Game often.
There you go.
Tori, can you please salvage this shit?
What do you think, my man?
I hope so.
Oh, boy. Well, tonight we talked an awful lot about seeds. We had a whole jar of seeds. We had seeds all over our chicken parts. Seeds. A lot of seeds. So we're going to keep going with the seed talk. And I want you to go out and plant something. I want you to go out and start something. Not only is it timely, of course, spring's right around the corner. We've had a very nice stretch of days here in Pittsburgh. We neglected to mention the weather yet today, so I'll go ahead and do that, you slackers.
We haven't mentioned the weather for quite a while.
Yeah, right. But
it's been shitty out. So
to tie it all back into the seeds, springtime's right around us, so go ahead and plant something. Not only physically, go out and plant a tree or plant, a tomato plant or something, but plant something in a manner. Start something. Start a book. Read a book. Start something.
Start a fire.
Start a fire. Arson. Yeah, sure. Yeah, but make the first step, and the first step is planting that seed. So go out and do it and smash it. And thank you for listening as always.
Yeah, and and I'll build off of that too. Go ahead and with the how this sauce appears, go grab some bird feeders, feed some birdies.
Love doing that.
Slow your life down a little bit, watch the birdies, listen to their cute little songs, and, just kind of take it easy and enjoy your life. Hopefully we're starting to come out of this pandemic and lockdown so we can get out more and start enjoying a little bit of that type of thing. And that's something to look forward to, something to give us a little bit of hope. And
while you're doing your bird watching, give us a listen.
Yeah.
Out there in the sunshine, hopefully.
And take a big old spoonful of this sauce.
We like birds like us, and birds would certainly like this here mustard.
I do think birds actually would eat this. You know how they have those like suet pellet things they put in the side?
Yeah,
absolutely. I 100% think you could basically solidify this and a bird would eat the shit out of this.
I was going to mention something about suet, and I thought, that may be gross. And then you mentioned the mucus thing, and then all bets were off.
Yeah, we took it way past that point. That would have been mild at all. This is a raunchy episode, thanks to me, so I stepped it up a notch for us.
Yeah.
But on that note, that'll do it for us this week. And as always, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.
Oh, bad news is we're at the end of the show here. But hey, the good news is that we have several other episodes that keep you entertained. And while you're at it, send us an email, saucespoken@gmail.com. If you've had enough of listening to us and like to see us, you can do that too. You can stop over on our Instagram page. It's Sauce Spoken Official. If you wish to get down into the nitty-gritty, we welcome you to do so, and you could probably do that on the website. That's going to be saucespoken.wordpress.com. We have some show notes there. We keep track of the various ratings we give them over the episodes there, so if you wish to dig into the details, that's a great place to do it. In the event some unthinkable calamity, your favorite listening provider is not available, you can fire us up on YouTube. And of course, we'll be out here rattling our empty mayonnaise and mustard jars. If you'd like to donate to us, you certainly can. We are at PayPal, at Sauce Spoken. We'll give you a little jingle jangle, maybe a wink and a smile on your way out. Keep in mind, we have stickers available for you. Slap them any which where you like, but they're available to you. If you'd like one, let us know. We'd be happy to send you one. And finally, we have a proprietary cryptocurrency out here. It's what's called Sauce Stoken. We have some details on it on the website. As we close here today, of course, we're going to ask you, please share us with a family member, share us with a friend. Hey, if you're enjoying it, I'm certain they would too. If you could, follow us, give us a rating or a review on that listening platform of your choice. Thank you for listening, and this is Sauce Spoken.